so often we may know something, we may know someone, we may know what their attributes or what their character has been for years. We may know the project. We may know the different traits that we may not like in somebody, or we may get triggered by in somebody because it's been habitual. But can we actually look at it from a beginner's mind with grace, with compassion, with love, with acceptance, with an openness, with curiosity? And boy, is it so easy for us to forget to be in that beginner seat. Can you be a beginner again? And what does a beginner's mindset look like? As a beginner, can you allow yourself to stretch and expand into those edges that could be discomforting, but allow you the biggest possibilities of growth? Hello, Brave Table fam. Welcome to another episode of the Brave Table. I'm your host, Dr. Neeta, and this is your destination, your oasis to be all things just a little bit more brave. Brave in your actions, in your relationships, and in your life. Hi, it's so good to see you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably noticed that I have chopped my hair. I'm going shorter for the spring season. Spring is here. It's blossoming. It's blooming. I feel like as we have just turned in Aries, there is a lot of moving forces. And if you're listening to this and you're like, yes, I can totally feel the shift. I can feel that I want to either be doing more, or you're just feeling a little bit more busy, or that you are really maybe trying out new things. Welcome, you've arrived. And I want to just start out by taking one of my That Suck Now What affirmation cards, which, by the way, you can grab at thatsucknowwhat.com. These are my 52 card deck cards that have affirmations and actions on the other side. So let's see what it has for us today. Ooh, I attract everything and everyone aligned with my purpose. I am magnetic. Yes, you are. You are magnetic. For those of you who are listening to this today, you are magnetic. So what does that mean? And how does that really shape what our conversation, today that we're diving into? And I want to kind of start by saying, spring happenings, spring blooms. If you were in Texas earlier this month, or perhaps in the US, it was a really big deal to have the eclipse here. And at the time of this recording, literally the eclipse just happened. And we had schools shut down, grocery stores go haywire, people going nuts, shopping as if things were going out of style. The roads were kind of closed. Places were closed this morning. By the way, it was a Monday, because of this idea of, to be able to see the eclipse. And it's interesting because, those of you who either follow us at Highest Self Institute, you should know that ancient cultures suggest, this is Hindu cultures, Muslim cultures, Navajo traditions, ancient, Filipino traditions, anyone who has wise sages really share that you're not supposed to really look at the eclipse. The eclipse is meant for going inward. The eclipse is meant for journaling what you no longer are wanting to carry, what you are willing to let go of. And this is such a powerful energy that we are in, maybe to call in new things, to start something new. And this brings me to, well, maybe you aren't in the US and you are gearing into spring. What does spring actually signify? The kind of releasing of old, releasing of the winter months, calling in perhaps spring cleaning, and whatever you want to call it. I like to say, to be able to open yourself to new things, to be able to open yourself to new opportunities, new experiences, to get out there and to maybe even challenge yourself at sucking at something new. And I have been actually playing around with this year, I knew I wanted to start something new for myself. And usually I do sign up for a few different courses every year. And this year I wanted to do an in-person course for myself. And this is just so, I mean, I do something like this yearly because, I'm a researcher mindset and I love diving into books. I read a new book at least weekly. So expect me to be reading about 50 books a year. And so this is just kind of fuel for my soul. And usually I am also reading people's books before I bring them on the podcast, on the Brave Table, as you all know. But I wanted to do something that was different. And maybe you're listening to this because you're like, yeah, I'm getting that feeling too. I want to try something different. And for so many years, I've been such an avid yogi, and I've never taken a yoga teacher training. And I've had my own practice. I have gone through, kind of bouts of having my relationship with Kundalini yoga for very, very, very many years, especially when I lived in the Bay Area, to, Bikram yoga when I was also living in LA. And then, just a vinyasa practice of just having my kids and being pregnant, and yoga was the only thing that I would literally do for myself. And so I thought, why not do a yoga teacher training? I know, just add another thing to my plate. And I'm like, well, how hard can it be? Well, it's in person, and this has been a commitment. And you know, I always share here that, don't overcommit yourself to things. And I feel like between the kids and with so many things happening within business and travel and work and life and so on, I'm like, how can I commit to this thing? And I'm like, well, it can't be that bad. I've learned a lot of yoga through the years. I kind of, know what am I actually missing. But then I thought, why not commit to being a beginner? Why not take the ego outside of ourselves, of what we typically know is true, and have a beginner's mindset? And so this was actually a journal entry of mine as I started this new year, January. I was going through a lot of different feelings and emotions, and I was really just in a very kind of cocooned inward state as we started the new year. And I'm like, I think there's something that is calling for me just to do for myself. So this is my own little mini experiment for myself. This was a challenge for me. Can you, Neeta, be a beginner again? And what does a beginner's mindset look like? Well, beginner's mindset would definitely invite anybody to say, okay, I don't actually know that. Or maybe I do, but I'm going to reject and I'm going to unlearn everything I know about this particular subject. And I'm going to come at it new like a student, like somebody who is learning how to walk for the first time. And here have been my results. It has been difficult. It has been challenging because I know a lot about Ayurveda. I know a lot about, what I grew up with yoga and Sanskrit and, mala beads and chanting and a lot of the things that we're learning, which is amazing. But this is my check into myself. Yes, Neeta, you know this, but you don't know it from this perspective. You don't know it at this iteration of your life. And the reason why I'm bringing this up today is because so often we may know something, we may know someone, we may know what their attributes or what their character has been for years. We may know the project. We may know the different traits that we may not like in somebody, or we may get triggered by in somebody because it's been habitual. But can we actually look at it from a beginner's mind with grace, with compassion, with love, with acceptance, with an openness, with curiosity? And that's what I want to bring to you today. Can you actually look at new things with curiosity without judging? And I'll be honest, ladies and gents, it's been hard because when I get into a research mindset, I do the research and I'm constantly looking. And I think a lot of us here at the Brave Table, you're listening to this because you're a seeker as well, and you are constantly seeking. And as somebody, as a student of personal growth development, you're looking for that next thing. You are looking for those answers. And of course, in yoga philosophy, we would say, well, everything is already in you. If you're a coaching student of mine, you'd probably hear me say, everything is already in you. And can we pay attention to our surroundings? Can we pay attention to how we're reacting in the moment? And can we have this beginner's mindset where we are looking at it from a fresh lens of my 2-year-old when she gets really excited and she has this new dress and she wants to wear it in all of the ways, or a new headband, and she's very girly and she wants to dress up her dolls, and she is so enthralled and in awe and enamored by these dolls that she could play with it for hours because it's new, and it's in the little, doll clothing that she has is new. And we forget this awe that we have when we are learning something new. And I'll share, because we had to, through our halfway mark in our training, we had to do a 30-minute practice teach with no notes. And I kid you not, I was probably so much more nervous doing that practice teach of yoga, even though I've been to, I don't know, maybe 150 classes in my time over the years of yoga, maybe more, maybe 200. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long standing practice with me. Yet to be in the beginner seat, to be in the beginner's mindset, to begin in a beginner's eye again, and to be graded on it, and to be able to do this without notes. It was all memorization, which means you have to actually really know what you're doing to put a sequence together. For those of you who don't know yoga, or maybe you do, or maybe, some of you are well versed, it was daunting. It was really daunting. And that too, practicing it out loud. And also, in the midst of filming and, doing all of these other things and traveling. And I had a couple of other, keynotes that I was preparing for. And we have our upcoming High Self Festival that I'm also prepping for. And so there's so many new things coming all at the same time. And I'm like, ooh, did I just bite more off that I can chew? And I had to really go and kind of unpack those layers of, okay, why am I nervous? Why am I hesitant? Why am I thinking that I can't do this when I can speak to 1,000 people for a keynote and I can deliver that and not bat an eye, but I'm so nervous for this practice teach that I'm going to teach 2 other people in front of my teachers. And so, in peeling back the layers, what was coming up for me was that I was also picking up the energy on my classmates. They were hella nervous. And because I'm an empath, I was picking up on that energy 1000%. That's number one. Number two, I'm also picking up the energy on, ooh, what old Neeta would be like. And old Neeta would be like practicing for days and hours because she could. And old Neeta would really, really try to perfect this. So these bits and bouts of perfection were coming up. And really also bringing up, ooh, when Neeta isn't fully confident in what she's doing, there's a little bit of anxiety that comes up. There's a little bit of, this imbalance of anxiety, overwhelm, stress, all of the feelings that we don't really like. And really just sitting in the discomfort, the suck, sitting in the suck of what will happen if I actually bomb this thing? What will happen if I actually don't do my best, but I give it what I can? But I give it what I can. And oftentimes in motherhood, we think that things have to be a certain way, that we have perfection in our homes, perfection with our kids, perfection in our relationships, perfection that our kids are going to do and act in a certain way that we would want them best, air quotes, represented. But we all know that shit goes out the door. It goes out the door real fast. And it was such a humbling realization for me that, ooh, I'm picking up on these other energies. And I'm also picking up on my old ways. And how can I navigate this? How can I navigate that? This is where I'm actually at. I'm not, I'm a true novice. I'm not an expert yet at this. You know, Malcolm Gladwell says we need 10,000 hours to become an expert at something in his book, Outliers. And we're just learning. So, can we learn to suck at something new? Hi, Neeta, take your advice from your book. And boy, is it so easy for us to forget to be in that beginner seat. And I thought, wow, this is so great and such fuel and such medicine that I can actually a stay strong and commit to this thing that I said I was going to do for myself. And now it's like, okay, the universe is bringing me this juicy medicine that, while I think I know a lot of things around the practice and the teachings of yoga, I don't really know, because now I'm learning it from a student's mindset with no judgment, with pure openness. And some of the Sanskrit words that I grew up hearing, I'm like, okay, it's going to land differently now, because when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Thank you, Buddha. And what this means for you, can you actually today or in your week or in your life look at people from a new lens? Maybe it's not the same as they were yesterday. Maybe they're completely different. Completely different. How would you act? How would you receive their information? How would you receive what they're sharing with you? Could you act differently? Could you be different with them? With your children, how can you be in a beginner's mindset and act in awe of what they're bringing to you? Not triggered, not annoyed, not upset, not judgmental, but just open. That, all right, this is the time to play. This is the time that I'm going to do things from a beginner's mindset. Maybe do something completely new. Maybe do something completely out of your comfort level. Maybe do something completely out of your current environment, and really bring in that bounce factor into your life to juice things up, to spruce things up, to spice things up. And it has been so refreshing to be a beginner again, because I get to remember what it's like to be in your shoes, truly, to be brave, to suck at something new, to be brave, to say, oops, yeah, I know I could do better, but I know I don't need to really memorize all of this stuff, because I'm still in that learning phase. I'm still learning and I'm still growing. And I know there's a lot of things that I don't know about this new thing, and that it's okay, that it's actually okay, that I am accepting where I'm at. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm actually good where I'm at. And I don't need to be an expert today, because it's the journey. And basically, with what I'm sharing, is I'm trying to enjoy the journey of starting something new, being brave to enjoy the journey, and being brave to be in the student seat, not in the teacher seat, in the student seat, in the beginner seat. Because as a beginner, can you allow yourself to stretch and expand into those edges that could be discomforting, but allow you the biggest possibilities of growth? This is what I want to leave you with today. This is what I want to leave you with for this week. Where in your life can you actually be a beginner again? And what will it take from you to let go of? What will it take from you to really truly understand where some of those old ways of what you would typically do would come into play? And how do you quiet those voices so that you can focus on just being present with what is? And so, More on this soon. But yes, I am a yoga teacher in training. And in my 30-minute set of what happened, I did the best that I could. And I realized, all right, I gave myself props. I'm like, all right, I memorized all of the poses. And I know now that I have to do other things to become just a little bit better. So, can we focus on attuning to maybe just a few things differently? Maybe that 1% or that 2% in your life, in your relationships, in your actions, and just with your everyday things to do. So, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you, and if this resonates with you, you share this with us on the rooftops, on the Brave Table, on Instagram, on YouTube. Here, drop comments below. Tag me on at Neeta Bhushan on Instagram. Share with me your 5-star review. We always love your stories and always love to know how this is landing for you personally, professionally. Share this episode with a colleague. Remind them it's okay to be a beginner, because in the beginner's phase is where you get the creativity, you get the courage, you get the bravery to make mistakes, to suck at something new, because you're learning. And that's the beauty of being able to expand and grow. So stay tuned for more, but thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time on the Brave Table, want to challenge yourself this week. I will see you soon.